In other global news, French President Emmanuel Macron has urged Europe to defend themselves better against enemies and not just depend on the US. At a ceremony in the German city of Dresden, Macron called for a strong and sovereign Europe. Take a listen.
Nous devons bâtir ensemble.
That makes a more independent and more sovereign Europe. A Europe that can defend itself and stand up for itself. A Europe that can survive in the face of all threats. This is what we must build now. This is the possible Europe of peace and common security.
Et d'innovation à construire ensemble en européen.
Macron visited Dresden as a part of his ongoing three-day official visit to Germany, which is all set to end today. Addressing the youth there, Macron also responded to the threat of Russian aggression and to rethink its defense strategy given Moscow's invasion of Ukraine.
Regardons autour de nous.
We Europeans want peace, a lasting peace. In other words, a peace that the Ukrainians, because we will have allowed them to defend themselves, will have chosen and negotiated. A peace that respects their sovereignty. A peace that respects international law, a chosen and lasting peace. Peace does not mean Ukraine's capitulation.
Mais oublions la liberté de la presse.
In terms of trade, the French president said that Europe had become more sovereign and more independent with respect to competition from China and the US.
Europe is the last place where we are open to the rest of the world without European preference or rules. Go to China, go to the United States. We trade, we want to develop trade, but there are national preferences. So I say to you, we need a European strategy that builds a European preference in defense, in space, that builds a European purchasing strategy.
Macron's trip comes 2 weeks ahead of European Union elections. Polls are indicating a major potential embarrassment for the French president. With his centrist coalition trailing behind the far right, it could even struggle to reach a third-place finish. In Germany, too, all three parties in Chancellor Olaf Scholz's coalition are polling behind the far-right AfD in the surveys. While Macron is a frequent visitor to Germany, as Paris and Berlin try to coordinate their positions on EU and foreign policy, this is the first state visit with full pomp since Jacques Chirac came in 2000 ahead of the European Parliament elections next month. Macron said that fear of a changing world is feeding a rise of the far right in Europe.
This trend is not a trend. It's a reality in Hungary. It was a reality right up to the wonderful election in Poland. And everywhere in our democracies, these ideas thrive, pushed by the extremes and in particular the far right. This ill wind is blowing in Europe, so let us wake up.
C'est une réalité. Alors réveillons-nous.